can never compare two stories. Everybody has one. You might think I don't have one. You do.
Let's face it, we all know the importance of a good, balanced nutrition diet, but the truth is it can get really challenging to get all the nutrients you need every single day when you're running a very busy lifestyle or even running your own business. And if you're anything like me, you probably don't want to resort to a multivitamin pill that is filled with chemicals, binders, and artificial ingredients. This is why I'm so glad that I found Vivo Life's Thrive. It's a revolutionary health supplement that has all the power of a multivitamin, but that is made with 100% plant-based and natural ingredients that you can actually pronounce and actually recognize. Things like kale, turmeric, baobab, or even spinach. It's been backed by over 50 independent studies and was actually formulated by a nutritionist. That's why each scoop holds the antioxidant equivalent of 10 servings of fruit and vegetables, along with 15 essential minerals and vitamins, including B12, vitamin D, and zinc. The truth is, you just never know what your day is going to be like. That's why I just make it really easy and simple for myself. I add a scoop in either some water, my shakes, or my tea. It's delicious, it's nutritious, and it gets me focused for the rest of the day, and my energy levels have never been better. And here's the best part in it all. Vivo Life are so confident in the quality of the product that they've took over 5 years to design that if you're not satisfied after 30 days, they'll give you a full refund, no questions asked, and you can even keep the product. If you want to try Thrive for yourself, you can go over to www.vivolife.co.uk and use the promo code MARK to get 10% off your first order.
Podcasting is one of the most effective ways to grow your business, build an audience, and give your brand a voice. But the idea of launching can frankly feel a little daunting. What kind of gear or software should you use? What if you don't like the sound of your own voice? How to get great guests to come on the show? And how do you get people to actually listen once you've published your podcast? Well, you could go and find out on your own through trial and error, and that might take you forever. Or you could save yourself a ton of time and a ton of money by grabbing a spot on my brand new online video course, How to Go From Naught to Launch, that you can take from the comfort of your own home. That's right, I've made the process of launching a successful podcast from scratch super easy. So if you're ready and you want to stop wasting time, head over to theunconventionalists.com, click on online courses, and grab yourself a seat and use the discount code PODCASTTRIBE to get 20% off the entire program. I can't wait to see you in there, but more importantly, I can't wait to listen to your podcast. Hi, and welcome to the Unconventionalists podcast. I'm your host, Mark Leruste, and this is the show about what it's really like to turn your message into a movement. I'm really excited about today's guest coming on the show. We're going to be talking about how to get more emotions in the workplace, how we can actually bring our full selves to work. And if you've been following the show for a while, you know that that's what we're all about. I am, of course, talking about Gian Power, who is the founder and CEO of TLC Lions, and also another amazing business around how to actually connect through the power of meditation and creating space around you. We're going to dive into that. And as always, if you're looking at this on YouTube and enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to subscribe and share with a friend. And if you're listening to this over on iTunes, leave a rating and review. It does help a ton. And if you do anything, do this. Share this episode with one friend, because this can truly change their worlds. Gian, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Good to have you. Sorry about this morning, kind of like back and forth. We're a little bit late.
All good, running around. Haven't been to Camden for ages.
Yeah,
so it's nice to be
welcome
here.
back.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Did you go to the gym this morning?
I did. 5 a.m. wake up.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I know.
Are you one of those?
I'm one of those. It doesn't happen every day, though, but made it to the gym, pre-workout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
buzzing.
Yeah, absolutely buzzing. Team hate it, 'cause I'm just like...
Yeah. So where are you based then?
We're in Islington, in Angel.
Oh, of course, because we did the same accelerator.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So NatWest have been incredible. Yeah, and what we've done, but based there, but a lot in the city as well. Because most of our clients are there.
Is Alex still there?
She is.
She is?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Straight to the point, which is what I need more of.
Yeah.
No airs and graces.
Is she your, I don't know what they call them, mentor? I don't know what the point.
No, she's not. It's another chap called Piers.
Okay.
But we've got a session with her tomorrow, actually,
Okay.
one-to-one.
Well, tell her hi for me.
Yeah, I will do.
Yeah,
she's fantastic.
She was cool. See, I told you I was one of the first cohorts when they just opened up in London. So it was 2 years ago because it was when my daughter, just before the summer before my daughter was born. So it was definitely 2 years ago.
It's brilliant.
Cool. Yeah. How's the experience? You still in the same building, same floor? Yeah. Right next to Angel Tube Station. Yeah.
You've got it,
Yeah.
and we just extended for another 6 months. So
cool.
it's just great because you have like so many advisors, but they're just these guys are just so down to earth. They get it. They get the journey, the struggles, and love it. Good environment.
Yeah. And is it still the same principle? Like, did you go in for like the 12? Was it 12 weeks?
So no, I joined for 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, 6 months in total, and then they've just extended it for another 6,
cool.
which is awesome.
Yeah, you still get the space, get some advice.
Yeah. Got our permanent desks, coaching, all that stuff.
Man.
I'm not there a lot.
Yeah.
But the team are.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to have a base.
Awesome.
Yeah, I really like
Cool,
it.
man. I'm excited to get in the story. I'm excited to get in your story. I think it's it's a pretty unique and an extraordinary story. And yet, what I love about your story, like I love so many of our guests, and I know that you know a couple of the guests that have come up. Kiko and Johnny, shout out to them. Is that actually the story enabled you to create this new path for yourself and for others, and actually how can you turn pain into your purpose, and it's a really compelling one. And I want to take us back to, if I may, back in May 2015. I think that for many people, as you often talk about, 8th of May 2015, general elections for a lot of people, but for you it was a very different story.
It was. I mean, for me, it was, I joined PwC 9 months prior, kind of gone down the corporate route, and life was good. I was so happy.
Because you did well at university. I looked at your resume,
oh, God.
and you graduated in the top 5% graduates of university, and you got a lifetime Beta Gamma, whatever that
I don't know what it means.
Whatever the hell that is.
I know, you leave and you're like, what does it even matter? No, I did. But that's it. It was all links in, really, because I left uni. I always wanted to be number one in my year across all the languages that we did, and went to PwC just so performance driven and focused on my results. And then May 2015 came around, and I guess it was the day before the election. I grew up, my dad, entrepreneur by background, Indian, my mum, white British, very soft-natured.
How did they meet?
They met up in County Durham. My mum is from there, and my dad was doing a bit of a road trip with his mates at the age of 17. Sees my mum in the shop, and asked her a question if she knew where something was. She obviously answered and brushed him off. And then it sounds a bit weird in this day and age, but he followed her in the car, pulled up and said, "Can I take you for a drink?" And that was it. And then they met at the age of kind of 16, 17.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
And they had you and your sister, right?
Yeah, exactly. Emma's 3 years older than me. We're super close.
Cool, man. Awesome. Yeah. So you grew up with that, your dad being an entrepreneur. So you saw him like running his own kind of business. He was in different kind of businesses.
This is it. So dad both my parents came from humble beginnings, and really kind of, I suppose, nurture was so important. They looked after us at home, and really dad instilled this go-getting nature into me to whatever you want, you can achieve it. And I saw him kind of growing businesses. Then he went into the property space, then hotels, then in Dubai. So I guess the sky was the limit type thing. And my mum always brought me down to earth, which is great. She still does.
Get good grades.
Yeah, exactly.
You might just need a fallback of a degree.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I sat with dad, and actually I'd set up my first business when I was a bit younger, when I was 13 actually, and dad knew that I loved that side of things.
What was the business?
So it's not that exciting, but it's in DVD manufacturing in the northeast of England.
Of course it was.
And after about 2 years, the niche died out. But you know what? We made money in month 3, and it was great. Anyway, it's another story.
Do you remember Discman? I don't know what year you're born. Do you remember the Discman? Do you remember that?
No.
It was like the little... How old are you?
27.
Oh, yeah. So you definitely don't remember. Yeah. So before your age, there was a thing called a Discman, which was supposed to be the revolutionary next thing after like CDs.
Was it small?
Yeah, it was.
I do remember. It didn't take off.
No, it did not. It only lasted. Like, I'm so glad you didn't manufacture those, because that would have been
no. Yeah, disaster.
So DVD for like 2 years. Do that.
Yeah. Well, in short, just to explain what the hell I was doing there, was that in the northeast, if people wanted DVDs copying, you could only get 1,000 done at a time back then. And I was going to a theatre with my English class, and they wanted 100 done, 200 done. And I thought, God, you can't get it done. You can't sell them.
Yeah.
So I found the machine, got a loan from the school for £900. And then, I just started churning them out. Got free publicity as a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
But then 2 years in, my parents said, right, Gian, can you focus on your GCSEs? And the niche was dying out. My mum's kitchen's covered in DVDs and machines, and she was happy. So yeah, I did. Went off kind of to uni and everything, but then spent a year at Deutsche Bank as part of my uni degree. Came
in Germany,
back,
right?
Yeah, so it's in their HQ in Frankfurt. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Went there, but then came back, and I knew that at that time I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I came up with a new business idea. I was interviewing in the city and banks, and in the end I joined PwC. Sat down with Dad, we went through all the different options, and I thought, hey, I went into financial restructuring. I know that sounds boring, but it's really interesting. You're working with companies going under, and it's kind of why have they gone under, what's their cash flow issues, and I thought if I can learn a bit of that, surely it'll put me in good stead for my own company one day.
If I can know why people go under, I can try and make sure I avoid those. And
exactly. And there were some great lessons that I've learned there. You know, you soon realize you're dealing with billion-dollar companies, and it's very, very different to your little startup when you start. But hey, you try and take some lessons. And become an accountant on the side.
I had a question looking back. So what is it that you think made you achieve so much at university? Like, do you just think, because, you know, obviously there's like genetics and smarts and that kind of stuff, but did you think there was also a drive that was installed to you at some point? And if so, when was that?
Question, because actually Sunday I was with my old teacher. I haven't seen her in 16 years. And I was like, what was I like at school? She was telling me bits and bobs about that. And we were talking about what I think it is. I do think it comes down to grit. Like, I've always had this determination to be the best at what I can be. Whatever I'm going to do, if I'm going to put my time into it, I want to be the best. I want to make a difference. I do partly say, a huge thanks to my dad for that. You know, he just, my parents never really complained about anything. You just get on with it. You just make a difference. And I think growing up, that kind of came from a young age. My mum would always make me do my homework first, and she'd make me be the best at what I was doing. If I was doing numbers, I had to be the quickest. If I was doing spelling, I had to be the fastest, whatever it was. And that kind of continued to GCSEs, wanting to be in the top. And carried through, I guess, to PwC. And that's kind of brings back to where we were, which was...
that's a graduate scheme, right? Did you join as a graduate scheme?
Okay, I did. So I joined there, and there was only one person each year who could get a top rating. And I used to say to my manager, and Jason is a great guy, like, tell me what I've got to do to get that. And I'll do it. Because at the end of the year, you can't say anything if you don't give me that grade. Right? Because I'm telling you I'll do it. And he was like, Christ, why do I have to get you?
I've got one.
And if he didn't give me it, he was like so scared, I remember, of giving me that feedback. I was like, you what? Anyway, awesome chat. But joined there. Anyway, back to where we were in May. A normal day working in the city, and my dad called me. He said, hey kids, me and my sister, I've got to go to India for work. Thought nothing of it. I was like, okay, quite last minute.
Because this was usual, right? He used to travel quite a bit, especially between Dubai and London. He used to travel.
Exactly. Thought nothing of it, and we spoke from the airport that evening. And Dad got on the flight.
Do you remember what you talked about?
I do. It's quite personal.
Okay.
Something. But I do. I remember our last conversation, our last text message as well, and it's quite a deep one actually. And you know, we were both, I suppose, quite active when it came to politics, and you know, we talk a lot. And I said, Dad, I'll text you when the results come in tomorrow.
Yeah, of course, because it was there.
This is it. So I went to bed that evening and woke up. It was the results, and didn't hear from him. The weekend, I was in the office studying, and I remember where I was sat. Didn't hear from him. Didn't hear. But I guess when a loved one's overseas, you don't think too much of it. Time difference and all of that. Then Monday came, and somebody called me very close to Dad, and they said, have you heard from him? I said, no. And they said, look, neither have we. And I thought, this is not like him. This is 4 days now. What is going on? To speak to my sister, I start calling hotels, calling people in India who I knew. Nobody being helpful at all. All we did is hope, pray, whatever it is that you do, that Dad was going to come back on the Wednesday flight. Went to bed that night. I remember waking up at 4 a.m., spoke to the airline, and they said, look, sorry to confirm your dad hasn't got on the airplane. And at that moment, kind of everything as I knew it just started changing dramatically. My dad was declared missing internationally. He was a missing person. And over the following 3 weeks, my sister and I then, we did interview after interview, meetings, dealing with the government, the police, solicitors, anybody to try and get some support to try and find my dad. I was putting up rewards of money that I didn't have in the hope that he'd come back. And it just wasn't a very safe time as well. It's quite an interesting feeling. 3 weeks later, I got a call from BBC Worldwide. We'd done every interview imaginable, and they called me and they said, look, we want to put this around the world and help you find your dad. And it was the best bit of hope. And honestly, my sister and I don't share this a lot or ever. we used to have to laugh ourselves to sleep every night throughout those 3 weeks because it was the only way we could keep on going.
Of course.
And that night we came from the Midlands down to London, about to go in the BBC the next morning. The driver was coming at 7 a.m. and we woke up because the phone was ringing. I said to Emma, answer it. She did. It was an Indian number. And it was a news reporter. A family member was there. It's live on the radio. And they said, are you the children of Ranjit Singh Power? We said, yes. Why? And they just said, do you know that your dad's been murdered and his body's been found?
Wow.
And I mean, I still remember just my sister screaming.
Of course.
That morning. And I just was pretty silent and just grabbed my sister. And more so, I just knew that everything had changed. Like, not only my dad, but he's like my mentor, my role model, who's taught me so much. And also from an Asian family, a huge weight fell on me to step up and lead.
Of course, because up until there was still no confirmation of what had happened. There was still hope that he might have disappeared, he might be somewhere, something might have happened, but there's still hope.
Exactly, you just hope, is he kidnapped, is he here? That all shit flies through your head, pardon my French.
Sorry, you can swear on the show. Where there's pain, there's swearing, I'll tell you that,
Yeah, so after that, I took 3 months out of work to lead the investigation. Still lead it today.
So you had to go and do the BBC interview? Did you still go ahead?
I didn't go.
Okay, I was about to say.
I raced back to the Midlands.
Okay.
But to be honest, there was no mourning for me.
It was just straight.
I had to get to the bottom of this murder.
Of course.
Yeah, and it's been an interesting journey. My emotions and managing things. Took 3 months out of work. PwC, huge shout out to them because they're so supportive.
Yeah.
And when you have a workplace who's like a second family and cares about you, like, God, it makes the whole difference.
Because you hadn't been there that long.
I hadn't.
Right? Like, it wasn't like if you had 10 years behind you, you were like a young graduate, you'd been there, 9 months, something like that. And they took good care of you,
Weirdly, I remember I went back into work 2 days after I found out for training. I remember putting my suit on and just thought, I'm going in there. People thought I was mad. But, you know, when things hit curveballs, as I call them today, sometimes normality is all you want. You know, putting your book, I used to study again. I kept studying by night.
Sure.
But yeah, it was a right journey after that to where we are today.
Sure.
Fighting in courts, legal battles, standing up at the age of 23 to self-represent, dealing with 2 jurisdictions.
Because you're in the Home Office or something like that. I read somewhere like you're finding yourself in the Home Office trying to...
Yeah, and if I'm honest, and I speak out about this, I was not given the support.
Yeah.
And now I do everything I can that if anybody is listening to this and has a loved one missing abroad or murdered overseas, one, do feel free to get in touch. You need to take this into your own hands. And I mean that by being practical and don't just expect that everything in this country will be done for you.
Yeah, so that must have been hard because you must obviously I can't even imagine what a 20-something-year-old is going through, the emotions, especially the relationship with your dad. Plus now you're feeling like there may not be the support that's expected, as you see in the movies. You know, when you see in films, it's like everybody starts moving around. Actually, that doesn't really happen.
No.
So how do you start? Like, where do you go from there? Like, how do you go from that conversation of like, okay, now I'm going to get to the bottom of this? Because I'm guessing you're trying to then get your dad back or trying to find your dad in some way.
Exactly. So, again, I don't always share this, but it took months because, you know, if anybody's listening, I hope, you know, it doesn't affect anybody too much, but the body was found. DNA testing was done. I didn't go to India for my own safety. I didn't speak the language. It didn't make much sense. I stayed here. And after 2 months of DNA testing, bone extraction, all this stuff that wasn't even in my vocabulary, we repatriated my dad back here to have a funeral, to say a formal goodbye. This is now pushing into August.
Okay.
And I'll never forget, because a week before the funeral that we planned, and everything was planned, the police called me and they said, can we come and see you? And I thought, what on earth, you need to talk to me now? The body had arrived into Heathrow and they sat me down and they just said, I'm so sorry, but the body that's come to Heathrow, it's not your father and it's somebody else. So then I just was like, God, it was like being kicked when you're down, and I'll never let anything stop me. I'll keep on going.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a bit of a blow. I had to make sure that this person had the funeral they deserved. I didn't know who it was, an Indian national.
Sure. And
I guess I've had to go on. I've learned I'm never going to have my dad's body.
Yeah.
Which has been an interesting journey on the side, personally.
Yeah, I can imagine. Plus, I want to thank you for your courage to share your story, because I know that that's one part of your mission in life, is to believe that everyone has a story to share. And if we had the space to be heard and share it, we could feel a little bit more in touch with who we are. So I want to thank you for that, because I think
thanks.
it takes great courage and leadership. And so you're then, this is now 2015, right? So this is 3 years. Am I good at maths? I'm crap at maths. 4 years. 4 years down the line. Yeah, 4 years down the line. And so you go back and you try and live, I want to say, quote unquote, normal life, while still juggling this investigation and this pursuit to the truth, to get to the bottom of it. How are you finding yourself to showing up at work? Because I know that we're both on the same journey about trying to bring your full self to work. How hard was that to kind of show up at work, trying, especially what you're doing, right? This kind of complicated, I guess, kind of work, while also doing this extremely complicated task outside of it.
It was interesting. And I think what it came down to was who my manager was at the time on the project I'm working on, because quite often it's not a company. You know, people join and leave organizations because of their direct manager, which I think has a huge impact.
So you do not quit your company, you quit managers.
Yeah, so true. And I'm very fortunate, you know, Isabel Gross, Jason Higgs, they're both directors at PwC, incredible individuals with great self-awareness and awareness for others.
And they're both different, right? One was an extrovert, one was an introvert.
Yeah, you know it. So absolutely. And two of my close friends today, but they noticed signs, they spoke to me. But more than anything, I suppose, Mark, it was my first week back.
Yeah.
I went back, I got that news, and a day later was in the news, a colleague of mine who I joined with ended his life by suicide off the building. As a 23-year-old graduate, as we all were, it was such a hit for me. Like, you know, I wasn't there when it exactly happened, but I just remember like seeing the cordoned off area, and my mind started wandering, and I thought, I'm not going down this path. Like, I need to speak to somebody. And these leaders used to just give you a hug, go for a 5-minute walk, chat, go near the river where we were in London Bridge. And I just realized, you know, Johnny says this a lot as well. You know, you've got to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on other people. And I thought, I'm not going to be able to, as much as, you know, you think you're Superman, be able to get up in the morning. I was going to the gym still every morning, go to work, come back, study for 4 hours, lead the investigation through the night, fight in the courts in the UK. It just wasn't sustainable. Nobody can do it.
Something's going to break.
Yeah. And I thought, I've got to look after myself more. And that's what I decided to do. But yeah, I suppose leading in, going forward around your question, more people started sharing their stories with me because mine was across the media. And when they were sharing these things that I had no idea people sat next to me were going through, I had to do more.
Yeah, because that's something that happens all the time. Like, I just remember being in I spent 10 years, I guess, in employment, where you'd find out something about someone that you had no idea. And you'd be like, but how come you've never said that before?
Yeah.
And why do you think people don't open up or don't share what's going on for them in the workplace?
The key reason I hear is they see it as a weakness, and I hate that word because, God, it's an absolute strength. You know, they see it as a weakness. It's going to hinder their promotion because they're seen as weak. I'm not going to get to the next stage because if I show I can't handle this stuff, how am I going to handle the increased workload? That's the classic one. Two, some people don't like to burden other people. You know, they feel like, oh, I don't want to share this with someone. I don't want to put it on them. I was doing work recently with Esther Ranson around Childline and Silverline, and she was saying that's the key thing. Well, elderly people, and I think it's not just the elderly, I think it's in work as well, why people don't share, because she says the 2 Bs, 1, because people are busy, and 2, because they don't want to be a burden. And, you know, I think it's the same in the workplace. People are so busy, don't want to share, I've got to crack on with the next thing. And they don't want to burden other people. I say a problem shared is a problem halved.
So,
if I didn't have Izzy or Jason or others for that matter, don't know whether I'd be here today.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting because you openly talk about your story and with strength and courage. And my assumption, and this is an assumption, that it wasn't always that easy. And what helped you along the way, and I think this is specifically very helpful for people listening, going through grief, going through some trauma, going through something. They might be at the beginning of the journey, and they might be seeing you and being able to talk about it. What helped you along the way to kind of open up and share a little bit more about what was going on for you?
I think the key thing for me, I had to look after myself. Before we get into how I shared the story and why I decided to, I had to look after me. And what I mean by that, I put loads of tips in place, tips that I share today of like whether that's meditation, which we'll get onto, going to the gym, boxing to release your anger, tracking my emotions. I started focusing on me and being a bit selfish with my time and thinking, I'm going to make me happy. I knew that there was a void, losing Dad, that I'm never going to fill. But if I can start to try and fill it with little things that make me happy, that things that give me that joy, you know, that real happy feeling. And once I started doing that, it kind of made me, I suppose, want to open up a little bit more because I was happy I could take the other emotion. And equally, I was seeing other people reaching out to me. And I've always been somebody who I'm never going to sit on the fence. If there's a problem, it's probably, cause me issues. If I'm in the street and somebody's, I will stick up for the right person, even if it gets me in trouble or whatever. I've been like that since school. And when I'm hearing other people going through issues in the workplace or being mistreated by bosses because of who they are, I'm not going to have it. Like, fire me. Like, honestly, I'll stand up for what I believe in. And I thought that, hang on, somebody said to me, Gian, you're really courageous in that respect. I was like, am I? Right? I just thought that's the norm.
It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do. And I thought, screw it, I'm going to do as much as I can. If I can share what I've going through and help somebody else, damn, I'll do it if I can help one person. But the first time I really shared it publicly was actually at a PwC alumni event. They invited me to open it for 10 minutes. And they coached me, they helped me.
Was this in 2018? No.
It was in... God.
Because I saw a video. I don't know if that's the video I saw.
Yeah,
it's not the video I saw where it's like you can actually watch 360 around the room.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, okay.
It's one of the first times I spoke out that wasn't with the media.
Okay.
Which is a bit different.
Yeah.
And I was like quite shocked by the reaction. I thought, what the hell? I thought, and people were like, can you share
the world
this
and
here?
implode. People were actually going, wow, thank you for sharing. And that was brilliant.
And there was a key moment that I can talk about, which is with Business Insider.
Yeah, please.
It's an amazing lady. Just, I met this lady for coffee, Ali, amazing lady, and she's a journalist, and we just met for coffee to chat. And she said, can I record this? I'll do what you want. I've dealt with my fair share of journalists. Ali is not like them. And we started chatting, anything. Anyway, after an hour, we went away, didn't hear from her for a few months. July 2018 came around. I was in Spain, I remember, with my mum, and she just messaged me and said, hey, I'm putting this out tomorrow. I've written it, and I've learnt with journalists. I said, look, can I edit this? Can I read it before it goes out? Yeah. She did. She sent it, and cool, put it out there. Next morning, I'll never forget, I just woke up flooded with messages, emails. 3 of my advisory board have come because of that article from Harvard, MIT, EY. It's been amazing. So many new clients, so many new Lions, all because of that one article and that little coffee that we had. And I'm so grateful to her. I spoke to her yesterday for the reach that had. Yeah. So I feel very fortunate that happened.
So one of the things that, and I think what you're speaking, just to underline what you just said, is that there's sometimes moments happen where things coincide and just propel a story that needs to be heard. And when that message is heard, when that story is heard, then it can impact others, and it obviously can help you on your mission. Did the idea for the
unwind experience?
Unwind experience. Thank you very much. When you went over to New York, and I read somewhere that you said it was a mix between a monastery, Burning Man, and something else.
Yeah, Ali wrote that.
Yeah, was that Ali's article? Okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So and was that was before TLC came as an idea? Was that after? Just in terms of the time, I'm trying to get the timeline right.
So the timeline is that I left PwC in 2017.
Okay.
Didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I just knew that they were awesome, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Whatever mission I was on, whatever purpose I had, it had to be elsewhere. So I left. I joined the New Entrepreneurs Foundation, who are amazing. I think
I just had a guest who was one of the Charlotte Pierce.
Yeah.
From Impact.
Yes.
Was she on that?
Yes, she was.
Because she talked about it. Right,
exactly.
She was the last episode of season 13. She talked about being part of that. That's amazing. That's so funny that you both went there. Okay, that makes sense because you've got both incredible energies and great businesses. Yeah.
So I joined there. I was going to join straight after uni, but in the end I went to PwC, and then I remember one day thinking, what the hell am I going to do? Went to a coffee shop, still working at PwC, scrolling through, and then I went onto their website, and it was like, applications open tonight. And I was like, it's happening. So I applied, went boy with a big story, got onto there, finally met my tribe, like-minded people who want to make a change and have different skill sets to me. Met my lawyer on there, Simon, amazing guy. And more than that, in the first ever session there, they said something, I don't even know if they know this, that really impacted me. They said, that you're 45 or whatever people in the room right now. You've all got different ideas, backgrounds, knowledge, experiences. You're going to go into fashion, tech, whatever it is, but you need to get known in the space that you go into, right? And we recommend that you do a blog, a vlog, a podcast, interview people within that space about a bit of a niche. And honestly, Mark, I thought, what the hell would I do? I've got no idea. I didn't grow up with a burning passion for kind of cars or tech or anything, just me. Then I realized the final thing they said was the best podcasts or whatever come from personal experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, hang on, I've got a bit of that, but nobody in the room knows anything about me, right? Nobody. And I thought, well, hang on, imagine if I created a podcast at the time where I could interview businessmen and women who'd been through adversity. I would know what happened, how they turn it around, and how they achieve professional, personal success. Mm-hmm. So that night I went home, I came up with a list of 5. I called a partner, Sally, from PwC late at night, and I said, will you be on my podcast? And they were like, yeah, don't know what the hell you're doing. And
did you have a title?
So it was called Lions, because that's mine and my dad's middle name.
Okay.
Right? That's all I knew. Right? And then, we kind of came up with that. A week later, a report came out from Deloitte around mental health in the workplace. Yeah. Coming out with the costs of mental health.
Billions.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And then Elizabeth, one of the authors, I found the author, messaged her on LinkedIn. 2 days later, we met in Lyon for a coffee, and we chatted about this. Leon, no.
Leon, like
imagine. Just popping over. Yeah. I had no money.
I was like,
just mate, about afford Leon. No.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
I was probably on water at that point. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
I met her, and then a few other people said, look, you need to make this bigger. So in short, that's how TLC Lions was born, and I got my first people created as Lions. So the timeline is I launched that.
And so the idea, because did you go to the idea of, I'm going to get people who've got incredible stories, who've overcome some form of adversity or who've learned some life lessons that they can inspire emotion in the workplace, and I'm going to help them, position them, before you ever thought that I'm going to go in and speak as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The plan was never, ever, ever for me to speak.
Yeah.
And I was never on the website. I was hidden. I was behind it all. And people were saying, I remember Anne Foster from Sony Pictures. I went in to see her about some of the Lions coming in. And she turned around. She's like, sorry, forget them. I want you to speak. And I cried. I was like, what are you talking about? What? I'd never spoken before like that. And I was like, no. And then Izzy from PwC was like, Jan, you need to be the first Lion. You need to step up. Show what it's about, how you do this. I was like, oh Christ, it's all coming together. Business Insider flies out. I was like, shit.
Wow.
And then it was almost, I don't say forced to do it.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm pleased I
did
it.
It's calling forth.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You were called forth to step up and to actually do what the world was seeing, what was needed, but you probably felt terrified. But I'm actually interested. What were the feelings going through your head or through your body?
I guess it's not nerves or anything, so I'll happily get up and speak. Yeah. It's more that I'm just me.
Yeah.
Like, I still get this today. Me and Johnny Benjamin speak about, like, imposter syndrome, if you want to put a word on it. But it's just like, it's just me. Like, why do you want to listen to me?
Yeah.
Because when I host panel events quite a lot, first thing I say is, by the way, I'm sorry, don't say this, there's nothing special about us. Anybody could come here and everybody has a story. And I think that I was just like, wow, I look at other people, I'm like, you've got an amazing story. Wow. And I guess I wasn't looking at myself.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. And are you still battling with that? Or are you starting to own the fact that your story does serve, your story does matter because it helps others heal in some way, and it's not just about you, but it's for others? Are you on that journey?
Yeah, I guess I am, because like last week, whenever it was in Madrid, the PwC 400 graduates, and there were just the stories that I heard afterwards, and somebody saying, look, I'm going to get involved in a suicide prevention charity in the Middle East now because of that. I was like, forget the other 399 graduates. I'm happy.
Yeah.
If I could do that.
Yeah.
And since then, I'm not going to name names here, but yesterday I was with a guy who's going to a top law firm who's homeless whilst being at Oxford University doing law.
Wow.
And this guy is incredible. I'm just, the people I'm meeting in audiences, I've met another girl who's, sadly, her father was murdered in Venezuela. I've met, most recently, the world's first runway model in a wheelchair from the Ukraine, 9/11 survivors. I'm like, this makes it so fulfilling. So if it takes me to get up on stage to meet these incredible people, I'll do what I've got to do.
And what moves you about those stories, about those people you meet?
I guess one thing, I really empathize with them. So it's when I'm hearing a story of being around 9/11, I'm like, I'm picturing it, I'm feeling it. or being the world's first runway model in a wheelchair, when they're telling me they're going on the runway and everybody's towering above them at 6 foot, looking down sometimes, you know, that feeling. And yes, just imagine being at Oxford University and come to June and then you've got no home and no parents. This guy's a huge inspiration, and I tell him all the time. And I guess, yeah, it comes back to my point. You don't know who you're around every day, and I can learn from everybody. I find it fascinating.
Yeah. Isn't
really
it just?
fascinating. Really.
Why do you think I do this? Why do you think I talk to people like you?
No.
You know, I do this for absolute selfish reasons. It's just the fact that we get to share this with people. But I sit in front of people and I get to hear their hearts, to hear their souls, bear their stories. And then I'm always inspired in some way, shape or form. And I know that we're coming towards the end of the interview. This has gone by so fast. It's crazy. But I want to spend a little bit of time focusing on TLC, especially about the incredible work that you're doing. So effective now, how many lines do you have in your? We
have 25.
25 lines, yeah.
We've interviewed 165 people now.
People who wanted to kind of join the line.
Yeah, which I'm so humbled with, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing, and everybody has a story, but it's just about finding the right people.
I get that. And so then you help them. Do you get them through a bit of coaching? Do you help them a little bit get their stories kind of, not packaged, that's the word I'm looking for, but how can we have the maximum impact by actually shaping the story to serve best? And then you go out and you find clients, I guess, or partners, companies who you feel like, hey, you've got some employees and this could spark something inside of them. And I heard you say something about it also helps with resiliency. Wasn't there something like maybe hearing stories can actually help them resiliency?
Yeah.
And then, so how do you go about finding the people you want to work with, like companies? Do you kind of cold call them? Do you email them? Do you go to networking events?
So going back to your first question then, how do we coach them and all of this? They come on board with their story. I can't do this without shouting out my non-exec, Dr. Kamel Hoti, amazing lady, 40 years at Lloyds Banking Group, an advisor to the Queen on her Commonwealth Trust Fund. That's where we're going next, actually. Amazing woman. And what she does is she coaches all of our lions. She understands their messages very deeply, their stories. She also understands our clients. So if, for example, it's around leadership or it's around gender or ethnicity, she will then sit with Johnny, sit with Kiko, and say, actually take that bit out, dial up around this, Johnny, around the LGBT angle, take out the Jewish background, not take it out, but
I get that.
Tone it down.
It's about where. So let's say you had 6 different angles you could focus on, 6 different touch points that could impact someone. We really want to hone in on to this one.
Exactly.
Because actually that would dilute the rest of the message. Doesn't mean it's irrelevant. It just means that this would make it more powerful.
That's it. And also coaching on the delivery, ours are around emotional engagement, landing messages that are relevant to a corporate audience. What does this mean when I go back to my desk?
Yes.
Right? How do we what are the practical tips? So Kamel, I hope that other Lions would speak on behalf as well. It's been phenomenal in doing that, and we couldn't do it without her. With our clients, it's just been a mad journey. We support over 90 companies now, which I'm just so grateful for. How do they come on board? One, I'm so proud of referrals. So thanks to our clients who say, you've got to work with them, you've got to work with them. Friends, recently Instagram comes a lot, LinkedIn. I put a video up when I was in Chicago last month, just about what we were doing out there with Hyatt. And then HSBC reached out, and I was so grateful for that around what we're doing with meditation. And LinkedIn is huge for us. I'm so grateful for people who follow on there and interact and engage. And I don't want to be one of those people who's like everything comes inbound, because it's not about that. You focus on creating the right messaging and content there. But I'm really proud that a lot does come in and word of mouth because we care. And if we don't deliver quality that makes a difference, tell me. Because it's not okay.
Have there been clients, without naming them, but have there been people that wanted to work with you, be like, you're not good, you're not a right fit, it's not going to work, or you want to do it for the right reasons? Have you ever had to turn down business or?
Without naming them, 4. 4. Mostly because I didn't like their tone. If we're talking about mental health and well-being and you're causing anxiety for my team, this isn't a good relationship. It doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen often. But I want to work with clients who really care about this. It's not a tick box exercise. And if we're not feeling it, then it's hard. It really, really is difficult. And then others you just have to be careful of certain industries.
So you're building a team now. You've got a bit of a team, like small. I mean, so how's that? Because that's a very different journey from, and I'm speaking from my own experience as well, from going just yourself, getting this message, suddenly you're starting to manage people, you're starting to have to make sure that they're okay, and this kind of stuff. Like, how's that journey been for you?
It's different, of course, managing people and getting the right people. Everyone has a story. Our team has a story. just to share here, we had our summer intern, Ben. Ben's brother, died by suicide, age of 15, last year. Sean's twin brother is transitioning, into a female at the moment. It's just amazing. It's finding the right people who care about our similar values. The work ethic will come with it, and we'll assess that in an interview, but they all care about what we're doing, which is opening up in the workplace, giving a shit about each other, caring. And we're a close-knit team. Yeah. I'm proud that we can hopefully have a huge impact with I don't need a huge team of 40. We're quite a close-knit team of 5.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. So there's something that I make up that you might agree with, and I just wanted to hear your thoughts on this, and that's the fact that people sometimes listen to these kind of conversations, they go, well, I haven't lost a member of my family. I haven't got any family transitioning to a different sex or gender. Do I still have a story that matters? Do you know what I'm saying? And I really want to say that, yes, it's not about how dramatic or how painful or how big. It's every story is different, right? Yeah. Is that something that you'd kind of agree with, or you want to add anything on that?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can never compare two stories. Everybody has one. You might think I don't have one. You do, is the in short of it. And I think everything is different for different people. My story might sound unique, extreme. I suppose it is to some people. I can sit with other people and it's normalized. It's not about these extreme stories. It's how do I translate that to day for everybody? And not only that, but on your point, how do you realize what your story is and how do you share it should you want to, right? So next year we've recognized this, so we're launching our new storytelling masterclass that's going to be online.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, online and offline, because it's a 90-minute session where it's going to help people. Kamel will be leading on this with me, actually pulling out your story in a way. And actually there's always something that you've never told anybody. Yeah, everybody's got something.
100%. 100%.
And how do we help people bring that out and know how to share it should they ever want to?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I used to do are people who wanted to sort of position themselves as thought leaders or wanted to become speakers or experts in their field, and they'd spend a day with me and I'd unpack their story over a day. And what was amazing, every single time, we'd come upon a place and be like, no, but I don't really talk about this, but and you go, oh my God, that's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, it's happened twice with friends and people I know, like Tom Boone. Shout out to Tom Boone. He was going to go and give a TEDx talk. We were chatting, and he was basically coming up with like these general topics around motivation and do the work you should be doing and all this stuff. And exploring the story, suddenly started sharing that he witnessed his brother try to take his life twice when he was a kid, and how that traumatized him, and how that he probably he didn't know it then, but probably had PTSD as a result of it. And he just kind of like, I don't really talk about that. I was like, that's the talk. And he went on to TEDx East End, one of the biggest TEDx events in the UK, to share the story about his brother. Same thing with Steph Slack, a friend who also came on Impact Accelerator. She was talking about how she wanted to do CSR for legal firms, and that's great and it's needed, but she didn't feel like that. There wasn't that fire that I could feel. And then she talked about how her uncle took his life and how that really shaped her and how that really shook her. But she felt like she wasn't a man. She wasn't suited to talk about suicide. She wasn't an expert. So who was she to talk about that? And again, fast forward, she gave a TEDx talk at Folkestone about why we need to talk about male suicide. And so for everyone hearing, I can guarantee you talked about it earlier, imposter syndrome. Everybody feels like the story doesn't matter. Everyone's story. So I love that you're doing a masterclass on helping people unpack the stories. It's so needed. I
can't wait for that. I'm excited.
Okay. Well, before I ask you my last questions, I want to acknowledge you and say, first of all, thank you for coming on the show and sharing your story so open-heartedly. It really means a lot. And I know that people listening to this will be thanking you from afar. Thank you also for turning your pain and a painful event into a truly purposeful mission, really. And through empowering other people to share their stories with others, you also selfishly fulfill my mission, which is to help people feel seen, heard, and loved, right? Nice. And if people can feel like that in the workplace, then maybe we'd have people less in pain. And so you're helping that. So thank you for doing that, and beyond of all your team and everybody that you're helping. Thank you. Final questions I ask all my guests. What's one thing most people don't know about you? Teaches you not to listen to episodes before you come on the show.
Really? Does everybody get that question?
Yeah, everyone.
Ooh. What was the question again?
What's one thing that most people don't know about you? Who might be surprised to know about you? Or
There's nothing. I'm trying to think. Is there anything specific here? I'm just. God, you really hit me on the spot. Bloody hell.
Let me just to get you. So some people will say like, some people will say something big or reveal, but some people will say, I used to be like a synchronized swimmer, when I was 15.
Right. Okay.
What something that that
there's nothing like awesome and interesting like that. I guess there's one thing about me that I don't have fear, and I'm trying to work on that to find out what gives me fear. I've jumped off buildings, I've jumped out of planes, I've bungeed, I've done whatever. I'm trying to push myself outside my comfort zone, and I don't know. I'm just trying to. It's not that interesting, but I'm like, if anybody's got any ideas,
have you scanned your amygdala?
What?
Yeah, seriously. Have you done a brain scan to look at the size of your amygdala?
No.
Yeah, so look into that. If you want, that's.
Touch wood, that happens out of choice and out of necessity.
No. It's out of choice. There's Have you seen the documentary Free Solo?
No, bad watching TV. Don't watch any TV.
You don't watch any TV? Well, there you go.
Bad.
That might be something that people don't know about you.
Yeah.
But if you do watch, Free Solo, you'll understand why I'm telling you this. Because basically, here's a guy, Alex Hammond, I think his name is. He free solo climbs, so that means no equipment, no parachute, nothing, like this.
Yeah.
Okay, just with clothes. And he climbed El Capitan in Yosemite, which is an incredible facade of granite. It's just epic. Most people climb it in hours when they've got ropes, and it can take them 2 days sometimes. He climbed it free solo. I want to say 4.5 hours. I could be totally off. But the reason why I'm saying this is that during this documentary, they take him to understand why does he not feel the same fear as everybody else? And they looked at his amygdala, which is, I think it's a nuclei in the part of our brain that controls our emotions, our feelings. And it was just a completely different size than normal people. And so that was enabled him to feel less fear.
So interesting. Because I jumped off the stratosphere in Vegas 2 weeks ago, whatever. It was cool. I was like, they were like, how are you? I'm like, so chill. Jump. And on the floor, I was like, this is not normal.
Yeah. So nothing scares you? Sharing your story at first scared you? Or was that not even...
No, again, it's not that. It's more like you feel that it's the imposter syndrome. Okay. I don't know whether it's going to have an impact.
Yeah.
It scares me. That's
so interesting.
Yeah, so any ideas, I'm always welcoming them.
Cool. Okay, try that out.
Yeah, and I'm always ready.
What does being unconventionalist mean to you?
I think for me, it's just being you, which is part of what we do. Don't follow what everybody else does. Don't be a robot. Don't conform to what you think you should be. Mm-hmm. Be unconventional. Be you. Be weird. Just... That's all it means to me is I don't want to get all cringy here, but you're born here as you, not to be like somebody else. And if you feel something, say it. If you're going to stand up for something, do it. If you've got a purpose, fulfill it. Just don't do what you think should be done by you. Just be you. Say what you think and just go out there. If somebody thinks you're weird, then screw them. The people who want to support you in all your weirdness are your friends, and they're with me all the way. So just be unconventional. And if they don't support you, you'll find people that do.
Cool, I love that. Yeah. Final question is, where do you hang out most online? Where can people get in touch if they want to find out more about you, about your story, about how they can get a lion, and where should they go?
So about lions, I suppose it's tlclions.com.
Yeah.
Check us out and read about our incredible lions. They're awesome. For me, I'm at Gian Power on LinkedIn / and on Instagram. Yeah. I try to share as much as I can around well-being tips to help people, all the research we learn. So
and is the unwind, the kind of meditation still going on? Is that the business still going? Yeah, we didn't even talk about that, but if people want to find out, where can they go?
Yeah, theunwindexperience.com. Yeah. Just rolling out with Hyatt, who are amazing around the world at the moment.
Oh, that's cool. Congratulations.
I love working with them. So check it out.
All right.
About meditation.
Yeah, and thank you so much. It was an absolute honor, mate. Really love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. It was a powerful one for sure. I feel moved and I feel inspired, and I feel what Gian really shared with us today, if anything, is that you just never know how sharing your story can help or serve someone else. If you're sitting there thinking that you've got no story to share and it doesn't matter in any kind of way, I challenge you to reconsider and rethink. You can go and check out their online masterclass on how to unpack your story, which I have no doubt is going to be an incredible program. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, or you're inspired or moved in any kind of way, let us know by leaving a comment underneath this YouTube video, or if you're listening over on iTunes, please leave a rating and review. And as always, if you do one thing, do this: share it with one person who you think needs to listen or see this conversation. As always, I appreciate you. Thank you. And make sure to tune in for next week's powerful conversation. I'll see you then.
Today's episode is brought to you by Vivo Life. Now, we all know the critical importance of protein to sustain a healthy diet, and I'd love to sit here and tell you that we should all get that from whole foods, but the truth is, like me, you might be living a busy lifestyle, and I'm often running from meeting to meeting, and I was looking for the perfect protein powder that could help me sustain my energy throughout the day and also recover after my workouts. Problem is, most proteins out there are filled with sweeteners, artificial flavoring, and ingredients, and because they're made from mostly dairy products, tend to not really agree with my digestive system. So that's why in 2014, I started exploring and experimenting with plant-based proteins. But the truth is, back then, the taste, the texture, the smell was just a little nasty. And so I just put up with it because I was looking for a plant-based protein that was good for your health, backed by science, and didn't do too much harm to the planet. But in 2017, something changed. I actually came across Vivo Life. Vivo Life make 100% natural health supplement and products that deliver straight to your door via carbon neutral delivery. Now, let me tell you, I was blown away. Not only did the protein taste great, it also looked amazing, it mixed well, but beyond that, it was by far the healthiest protein on the market that I could find. The reason being is that in every serving you get 25 grams of plant-based protein, and it's not just any protein, it's fermented protein, which is amazing for digestion. On top of that, you get 6 grams of branched-chain amino acids in each serving, and you also get some turmeric extract, which is phenomenal for anti-inflammatory properties, which helps me speed up my recovery. Now, what I usually do after a workout is I'll use some Madagascan vanilla or the salted maca caramel. Those are my 2 favorite flavors. I'll throw in a banana, maybe some dark leafy greens, some almond milk, some water, maybe some flax seeds, shake it all up, and it tastes amazing. So if you're looking for a healthy, natural, plant-based protein that's going to get you results, tastes amazing, and does good for the planet, then head over to vivolife.co.uk and use the discount code MARK when you check out to get 10% off your first order. And remember, every purchase you make using the discount code helps support the Unconventionalists podcast. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for keeping the lights on in the studio. Hey gang, I wanted to remind you that if you want to launch your podcast and you don't want to spend years and a ton of money trying to figure out how and make mistakes along the way, then head over to theunconventionalist.com, click on online courses, and make sure to enter the code PODCASTTRIBE to get 20% off my brand new online video program that's called How to Launch a Successful Podcast from Scratch. I poured everything I know into that, my love, my heart, my knowledge, and my know-how for you. You can literally take that course from the comfort of your own home and launch a world-class podcast within days. So stop waiting, stop wasting time, head over to theunconventionalist.com and get your ticket to my online video program now. I'll see you in there.